Love is life.
Howdy, y'all. This is Chris with the North Carolina Photography Group with your Sunday podcast called The Rant with Christopher Getting. Sponsored in part by the NCPG, www.ncpg.me. Upcoming, we've got the boot camp next weekend, or this weekend really, October 4th and 5th. Don't miss it. It's $2.99 for 2 days, and that's what our the rant's going to be about today. I talked with a client or a student this morning, and I've talked to a couple students, and I'm not picking on anybody. I'm just saying this. I'm going to say this. I'm seeing a lot of students go out there, and what they're looking for is that magic silver bullet, that one thing that's going to improve their photography and make them instantly be able to take great pictures. And I got to tell you, unfortunately, there's nothing out there. Now, I will say this. The newer cameras, especially the last 6 to 8 years, are so automatic that, yes, you get a decent, do a decent job. But no, I mean, you're not going to be able to pick up using shallow depth of field and flash usage and how to do portraits and everything else just by reading one book or knowing one simple technique. It's not going to work. What I can show you is how to do a simple portrait with a nice lighting setup. But what I'm seeing is a lot of people going out there, and like I said, I'm not picking on any individual person, and I don't blame you for doing this, but I'm seeing a lot of people go out there and buy a ton of gear. They're buying the best camera. They're buying studio lights. They're buying all this stuff without even knowing how to use it. And then it's just sitting there, and they're going, well, I don't really like to use it. It's a little complicated, blah, blah, blah. Well, of course it's complicated because it's like buying a racing motorcycle when you should be, training on a normal motorcycle. Radio control stuff. People do that all the time. Instead of buying a trainer, they'll go out and buy a jet. And now they want to fly the jet. And I'm like, well, you got to fly the trainer first. And they don't want to do that. Well, that's what you got to do. You got to go through the training phase. You've got to learn how to operate your equipment. You got to learn to operate your equipment so well. It's like knowing your phone number. It's got to be second nature. And that's why I always, recommend carrying that camera with you all the time. And whether you're taking interesting pictures or not, it's just learning how to operate the shutter and the f-stop and the ISO and those kinds of things. And you can read all this stuff or buy all these books and say, well, the book says to do it this way, and this says, that's fine, whatever. But that's not how it works in the real world. Okay, talk to any pro. They'll tell you, yeah, well, that's how you learn. But then you forget that. And then you start deciding to be a little bit more creative. Now you know the rules. Now you can say, let me see where I can bend them. And unfortunately, there's no silver bullet. There's no way for me to say, hey, if you just do this one thing, you're going to be, amazing. It's not going to happen like that. I think Ansel Adams, or one of those older guys, used to say, you have to take 100,000 images to get good, and 10,000 pictures to get decent, and 100,000 to get good. And now with the digital, I'm going to say you probably have to take 200,000 images to even get a sense of what you're doing. And maybe even 1 million images to get get decent. And that's just practice that's not decent image quality. That's learning to use your machine, your camera, your shutter speed, your aperture, all that good stuff. So instead of going out and spending all this money on $300 studio flashes and soft boxes and things like this, and I'm going to say take some hands-on courses. Study what the person who's offering the class has to offer. What kind of stuff do they shoot? Are they real or are they just fake? There's a lot of fake ones out there. And you can spot them because they make their living running these big, giant seminars. And you never see it. They say, well, they're telling you how busy they are. Well, they're busy selling you on a bunch of bull. What they're not telling you is it's a very hard racket to be in, especially if you're trying to make a living at it. And if you're trying to get better at it, it's a learning curve. You got to learn to do it. And you got to take those courses. And community college and things like that, those are okay, but, if you're going to go to community college, don't take a photography course. Take an art composition course. You're going to get a lot more out of it, okay? But if you're going to learn from a pro, make sure that pro has a studio or a business where he's actually selling photography and he's making a living at it. He's not just saying he is. I offer courses, and I'll say, come take mine, but I'm not going to say just come take mine. Take anyone's. Don't spend any more money on gear until you've taken some classes. Those classes are 10 times, 100 times more important than buying any other piece of equipment. Any camera, and I'm going to prove that this week. I was going to do it last week with the D50, the old D50 6 megapixel. Any camera can take a good picture. So tomorrow night, Tuesday night, let's say Sunday, day after tomorrow night, I'm going to use an iPhone I'm sorry, my Samsung S4 unbendable phone, and I'm going to take some studio pictures and show you how good the quality is just from a phone. It has nothing to do with the gear. Now, when you do know what you're doing, that's when you start buying expensive lenses, because then you know what you need. How do you know what you need? You go out there and you you read a blog and go, okay, well, I want to get that lens because I want to do that picture. You don't know that. You want to buy a lens and use it for a long time and wring it out and realize what it can do. Like a 17 to 35 or a 50 or an 85 or a 70 to 200. You want to buy one of those lenses and just use it for everything. And figure out what it can do and what it can't do. And then move on. If you buy like 3 lenses, you're constantly switching because you're not getting what you like, and you're really not learning anything. So that's the rant. Stop spending money on gear. Start spending money on education. And of course, I offer courses. I don't know any other pros locally that offer courses, but there is a guy down there in Concord or near Charlotte. He's about 10 times more expensive, and he charges extra if you're within 30 miles of a studio. But and most are like that. So as far as cost goes, I think I'm probably the lowest, because I really want you to learn what we're doing. So give us a call, 336-847-7628 if you want to come to the workshops. Join the NCPG, www.ncpg.me for the open model shoots and all the meetups and everything like that. Learn everything you can. And then you'll start seeing improving in your photography. Don't believe when somebody says, oh, you do this one thing and everything's going to be great. No, that's not going to work. All right, that's the end of the rant. Hope you guys have a great week. It's going to be a beautiful week. I'm telling you, the leaves are getting ready to change. So I will see you online. Have a great day. Bye-bye.